Today lesson: how many ways can you say the same thing in English? Real English Podcast, B1 B2, James and Olivia.
Hello, and welcome back to the Real English Podcast. I'm James.
And I'm Olivia. Great to have you with us again, wherever you're listening from, the gym, the kitchen, the bus, your car.
Or lying in bed, too tired to get up. No judgment here.
None at all. So, James, today we've got a really fun topic. One that I think is going to be super useful for anyone at a B1 or B2 level.
Yes. Today's question is, how many ways can you say the same thing in English?
And the answer, honestly, a lot. Like, way more than people expect.
Exactly. English is famous, or maybe infamous, for having tons of synonyms and different expressions for the same basic idea. And I think this is something that confuses learners a lot, because you learn one way to say something in your textbook, and then you go out into the real world, and native speakers are saying it in 5 other ways you've never heard.
Right, and that can feel really frustrating. You think, wait, I studied this. Why don't I understand what they're saying?
Exactly. So today we want to break this down. We're going to look at some everyday situations, like greeting someone, agreeing, disagreeing, being tired, being excited, and show you the many, many ways English speakers express these same ideas.
And don't worry, we're not going to throw 50 phrases at you all at once. We'll go slowly, give examples, and repeat things so you can really absorb them.
Perfect. Let's get into it.
Okay, before we jump into examples, let's quickly talk about why this happens. Why does English have so many synonyms?
Good question. So, part of the reason is historical. English has borrowed words from so many other languages over the centuries: Latin, French, German, Old Norse, and more. So often you'll have 2 or 3 words that mean almost the same thing, but they came from different language roots.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Take the words ask, question, and interrogate. They all relate to finding out information. Ask comes from Old English. Question comes from French, originally from Latin. And interrogate comes directly from Latin.
And they all mean something slightly different, right? Like, interrogate sounds much more serious.
Exactly. Interrogate makes you think of police, or a formal investigation. Ask is just normal, everyday. So even though the core meaning is similar, the feeling or tone of the word is very different.
That's such an important point. It's not just about meaning, it's about tone, formality, and context.
Right. And that's really the heart of today's episode. We're not just giving you lists of synonyms to memorize. We want you to understand when to use each one.
Perfect. So let's start with something everyone uses every single day: greetings.
Okay, Olivia, if I walked into a room right now and saw you, what's the most basic way I could greet you?
Just hello or hi.
Right, the classics. Simple, safe, works in almost any situation.
But if we're being honest, how often do native speakers actually just say, hello, how are you?
Not that often. Especially in casual, everyday conversation. Let's list some alternatives.
Okay, here's one: hey. Very casual, very common between friends.
Then there's what's up. This one confuses a lot of learners because it looks like a real question, but often it's not.
Right. If someone says what's up to you on the street, they usually don't want a long answer about your life. They just want a quick, not much, you, or hey, how's it going?
It's basically the same as saying hello. It's a greeting disguised as a question.
Exactly. Other similar ones: how's it going, how are things, how's life?
And in British English, you'll hear you alright a lot.
Oh yes, that one trips people up. In American English, are you alright sounds like you're checking if someone is okay, maybe worried about them.
But in the UK, you alright is often just hello. It doesn't mean anything is wrong.
So context and location really matter here.
Definitely. Let's also mention some more formal greetings. If you're in a business meeting, or meeting someone for the first time in a professional setting, what would you say?
Good morning, good afternoon, or simply, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Or, nice to meet you, which is a bit less formal but still polite.
And if you're meeting someone again, not for the first time?
Good to see you again, or great to see you.
So already, just for the simple idea of hello, we've got, let's count, hello, hi, hey, what's up, how's it going, how are things, how's life, you alright, good morning/afternoon, nice to meet you, good to see you. That's 11 different expressions.
And that's not even all of them. There's also things like howdy, which is very American, especially southern US or Texas.
Or yo. Super casual, mostly used among young people or close friends.
Right. So the lesson here is, don't panic if you hear a greeting you don't recognize. English speakers have dozens of ways to say hello, and native speakers themselves don't use all of them. They usually have a few favorites depending on their personality and where they are from.
Alright, let's move to our next situation, agreeing with someone. This is such an important one because in conversation, we agree with people constantly.
True. The most basic way, of course, is just saying yes.
Or I agree.
But again, how often do people actually say, I agree, in casual conversation?
Not that often, honestly. It can sound a little formal or stiff if you use it all the time.
Exactly. So what do people say instead?
Totally, is a big one. That movie was amazing. Totally.
Or exactly. This is great because it shows strong agreement, like, you said exactly what I was thinking.
For sure is another common one, especially in American English.
And there's definitely, which is similar but can be used in slightly more situations.
What about I know, right? This one is interesting because it's used specifically when you already had the same thought as the other person.
Right, like, traffic today was terrible. I know, right? It took me an hour to get home.
It shows shared frustration or shared feelings, not just simple agreement.
Good point. There's also, absolutely, which is a stronger, more emphatic way of agreeing.
And you're right, or you've got a point, which specifically responds to something someone said, showing you accept their argument or opinion.
Then there's more casual expressions like same, or same here.
I love pizza. Same. Simple, quick, very common in texting too.
And don't forget, that's true, which is useful when you're agreeing but maybe adding a small new thought afterward.
Like, that's true, but we should still leave early just in case.
Exactly. So already we have, yes, I agree, totally, exactly, for sure, definitely, I know, right, absolutely, you're right, you've got a point, same here, that's true. That's 13 ways to agree.
And I'm sure listeners can think of even more. This is really just scratching the surface.
Now let's flip it around. What about disagreeing? This one is tricky because in English, we often try to disagree politely, especially with people we don't know well.
Yes, and I think this is one of the trickiest parts of English communication for learners, because direct disagreement can sound rude, even if that's not the intention.
Right. So instead of just saying, no, you're wrong, which can sound harsh, what do people usually say?
I'm not sure I agree. This softens it a lot.
Or, I see it differently. This is a nice, neutral way to disagree without attacking the other person's opinion.
I'm not so sure about that, is another gentle option.
What about, I get what you're saying, but... This one is great because it shows you're listening and considering their point before disagreeing.
Yes, that's a classic English structure, acknowledge first, then disagree. I get what you're saying, but I think we should try a different approach.
There's also, that's a fair point, but similar structure.
Or, more casually, I don't know about that.
And I beg to differ, which is a bit more formal, sometimes even a little humorous or playful, depending on tone.
What about stronger disagreement, like when you really don't agree at all?
I completely disagree, or I totally disagree. These are much more direct.
Actually, I think is also useful. It signals you're about to offer a different opinion.
Right, like, actually, I think we should wait until next week.
And then there's the classic, with all due respect, I think, which is used especially in professional or formal situations when disagreeing with someone in authority.
Good one. So to sum up, I'm not sure I agree, I see it differently, I'm not so sure about that, I get what you're saying, but, that's a fair point, but, I don't know about that, I beg to differ, I completely disagree, actually, I think, with all due respect. 10 more expressions.
And notice how the tone changes a lot depending on the words. Some are soft and polite, some are direct and strong. Choosing the right one depends on who you're talking to.
Let's move to something a little more relatable, being tired. I feel like this comes up in conversation constantly.
Oh, constantly. So the basic word, of course, is tired.
I'm tired. Simple, everyone learns this early on.
But native speakers love to exaggerate this feeling. So you'll hear things like I'm exhausted.
Or I'm shattered, which is very British.
Yes. I love that one. I'm absolutely shattered. It sounds so dramatic, but it's completely normal in the UK.
There's also I'm wiped out, or just I'm wiped.
I'm beat is another casual one, especially American.
I'm drained, which suggests you don't just feel physically tired, but mentally and emotionally exhausted too.
I'm running on empty is a fun one, like a car without fuel.
Great image. There's also I'm dead on my feet, which really emphasizes extreme tiredness.
Or simply, I need to crash, meaning you want to sleep immediately.
I could sleep for a week is a common exaggeration too.
And don't forget I'm knackered, another British favorite.
So again, tired, exhausted, shattered, wiped out, beat, drained, running on empty, dead on my feet, need to crash, could sleep for a week, knackered. That's 11 expressions just for being tired.
It's kind of amazing how creative English speakers get with everyday feelings.
Speaking of feelings, let's talk about excitement and happiness. Because just saying I'm happy can feel a little flat sometimes.
True. So beyond happy, we have I'm thrilled.
I'm over the moon, which is a lovely, classic British expression.
I'm stoked, very casual, common among younger speakers or in American English.
I'm pumped, similar energy, used especially before something exciting happens.
I'm on cloud nine, another poetic way to express extreme happiness.
I can't stop smiling, which is more descriptive than a direct synonym, but very natural.
I'm buzzing is a great British slang term for excitement.
This is amazing, awesome, incredible. Simple exclamations that show enthusiasm.
And I'm so hyped, which overlaps a bit with stoked and pumped.
Great list. Happy, thrilled, over the moon, stoked, pumped, on cloud nine, can't stop smiling, buzzing, amazing, awesome, incredible, hyped. 10 plus expressions.
And you can really feel the difference in energy between something like I'm content versus I'm buzzing.
Exactly, tone and intensity matter a lot here too.
Let's shift to something more practical, asking for help. This is such a useful category for real-life situations.
Definitely. The most basic phrase is, can you help me?
Simple, works almost everywhere. But there are more polite, more natural-sounding alternatives too.
Could you give me a hand? This is very common and friendly.
Would you mind helping me with this? A bit more formal and polite.
Do you think you could help me out? Softer, more indirect.
I could really use some help here, which doesn't directly ask, but strongly implies you need assistance.
Any chance you could help me? Very casual, common among friends.
I'm a bit stuck, could you help? Useful when you want to explain you're having trouble with something specific.
And in more formal, professional settings, would it be possible for you to assist me with this?
Or I was wondering if you could help me with something.
That, I was wondering if. Structure is great for softening requests in English generally.
Absolutely. So we've got, can you help me? Could you give me a hand? Would you mind helping me? Do you think you could help me out? I could really use some help. Any chance you could help? I'm a bit stuck. Would it be possible for you to assist me? I was wondering if you could help me. 9 expressions.
And notice the pattern: the more indirect the phrase, generally the more polite and formal it sounds.
That's such a useful rule to remember, actually. Directness in English requests can sometimes come across as rude, especially with people you don't know well.
Alright, let's finish our list of situations with something we all need eventually: saying goodbye.
The basic one, obviously, goodbye, or just bye.
See you later, extremely common.
See you soon, used when you expect to see the person again relatively quickly.
Take care, which shows warmth and care for the other person.
Catch you later, casual, common among friends.
I've got to run, or I've got to head off, which signals you're leaving in a hurry.
I'm off, very British and casual.
Talk to you soon, often used when ending phone calls or messages.
Have a good one, an American favorite, meaning, have a good day.
Until next time, a little more poetic, sometimes used at the end of podcasts, actually.
Oh, how fitting.
And take it easy, which is casual and friendly.
So, goodbye, bye, see you later, see you soon, take care, catch you later, I've got to run, I'm off, talk to you soon, have a good one, until next time, take it easy. 12 expressions for goodbye.
And that's still not all of them. There's also regional stuff like cheerio in older or more traditional British English, or peace out, which is very casual American slang.
So many options, depending on the mood, the formality, and who you're talking to.
Okay, so we've gone through greetings, agreeing, disagreeing, being tired, being excited, asking for help, and saying goodbye. That's a lot of expressions.
It really is. And I think the big question our listeners might be asking now is, do I need to memorize all of these?
Great question. And honestly, no, you don't need to memorize every single one immediately.
Right. The goal isn't to actively use 50 different ways to say hello. The goal is recognition first.
Exactly. When you're listening to native speakers, in movies, podcasts, conversations, you'll hear these different expressions. And if you already recognize them, even a little, your comprehension improves massively.
That's such an important point. A lot of learners focus only on speaking vocabulary, but listening vocabulary is just as important, maybe even more important at the beginning.
Definitely. So our advice: pick 2 or 3 expressions from each category that you personally like, that feel natural to you, and start using those actively.
And for the rest, just focus on understanding them when you hear them. Over time, more and more of them will naturally become part of your active vocabulary too.
It's also worth mentioning, don't stress about using their perfect, or most native-sounding expression all the time. Even simple phrases like, yes, I agree, or I'm tired, are completely fine and understandable.
Absolutely. Fluency isn't about using the fanciest vocabulary, it's about communicating clearly and comfortably.
Great point to end that section on.
Okay, let's do something fun before we wrap up. I want to test James a little.
Oh.
I'm going to say an expression, and you tell me what situation it belongs to. Is it a greeting, agreement, disagreement, tiredness, excitement, asking for help, or saying goodbye?
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm knackered.
That's tiredness.
Correct. Next one, I beg to differ.
Disagreement.
Yes. I'm on cloud nine.
Excitement or happiness.
Perfect. Any chance you could help me?
Asking for help, obviously.
Of course. Last one, I'm off.
Saying goodbye.
Great job. 5 out of 5.
Piece of cake. Or should I say, it was a walk in the park.
Oh, nice one, another expression meaning something was easy.
See, there we go again, even more ways to say things.
Before we finish, let's answer a question from one of our listeners. This one comes from Marek, from Poland. He asks, how do I know which expression is appropriate in which situation? I'm always afraid of sounding too casual or too formal.
Great question, Marek, and honestly, this fear is very common.
It really is. My advice, pay close attention to who you're speaking to and where you are. If you're speaking with close friends, casual expressions are perfect. If you're in a business meeting, or speaking with someone significantly older or in a position of authority, lean toward the more neutral or formal expressions.
I'd add, when in doubt, it's usually safer to be a little more formal than too casual. People rarely get offended by politeness, but overly casual language in the wrong setting can sometimes come across as disrespectful, even if that's not the intention.
Great advice. And also, don't be afraid to just observe. Listen to how native speakers around you talk in different situations, and slowly you'll start to develop a natural sense of what fits where.
Exactly. It comes with time and exposure. You won't get it perfectly right away, and that's completely normal.
Alright, let's do a quick recap of everything we covered today.
We started by explaining why English has so many synonyms and expressions, largely due to its mixed history, borrowing from Latin, French, German, and more.
Then we went through greetings, from hello and hi to what's up, you alright, and howdy.
We covered agreeing, with words like totally, exactly, for sure, and I know, right.
Then disagreeing politely, using phrases like I see it differently, or I get what you're saying, but.
We talked about being tired, shattered, wiped out, knackered, running on empty.
And being excited, over the moon, stoked, buzzing, on cloud nine.
Then asking for help politely, with structures like, would you mind helping me, or I was wondering if you could help.
And finally, saying goodbye, from simple bye, to catch you later, I'm off, or take it easy.
That's a huge amount of vocabulary for one episode.
It really is. But remember what we said, you don't need to memorize it all today. Just start noticing these expressions in the real world, and slowly build them into your own speech.
Before we go, let's give our listeners a little homework challenge, like we usually do.
I love this part. Okay, so here's the challenge. This week, try to use at least 3 new expressions from today's episode in real conversations, or even just in your own head while thinking in English.
Great idea. Maybe pick one from each category, one new way to greet someone, one new way to agree, and one new way to say goodbye.
And if you're brave enough, try writing us a message or leaving a comment with the expressions you chose. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes, definitely. It really helps us know what you're working on, and we can even make future episodes based on your feedback.
Perfect. So that's your challenge for this week.
Before we go, let's give our listeners a little homework challenge, like we usually do.
I love this part. Okay, so here's the challenge. This week, try to use at least 3 new expressions from today's episode in real conversations, or even just in your own head while thinking in English.
Great idea. Maybe pick one from each category, one new way to greet someone, one new way to agree, and one new way to say goodbye.
And if you're brave enough, try writing us a message or leaving a comment with the expressions you chose. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes, definitely. It really helps us know what you're working on, and we can even make future episodes based on your feedback.
Perfect. So that's your challenge for this week.
Well, Olivia, I think that wraps up another great episode.
It really does. I hope everyone listening feels a little more confident now about all the different ways English speakers express the same basic ideas.
And remember, this variety isn't something to be scared of. It's actually one of the beautiful parts of learning English. There's always something new to discover, some new expression to add to your collection.
Beautifully said. Alright everyone, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Real English Podcast.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend who's also learning English.
And as always, keep practicing, keep listening, and don't be afraid to make mistakes.
That's how we all learn best.
Until next time.
Take care, and catch you later.